Voice is not that good. I've asked Daniel to tape this workshop for me, so that this afternoon I have another group. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it. Normally my voice sounds a little bit more higher and a bit more clear. But I have a cold, so bear with me. Please listen to what I have to say. So help me out a little bit. It's going to be a fun lecture, okay? It's not just receiving. You can participate. I have a short assignment for you in between, and so hopefully it's going to be fun, and hopefully you will remember a little bit of what I have to say for today. All of the slides will be on Blackboard. I've included videos as well for you to see, so you can also look it up yourself if you want to rewatch it again. My name is Tess. I am now a teacher for around 4 years here, and I've been asked to teach here. Because of my background, I have a huge background in film. I did film school in Amsterdam. There's only one in the Netherlands. Most of countries have only one film school. I did production. So I also produced some films, mainly kids series, kids films. After a while I've been asked to start working in events, so I also worked a lot in events, organized huge events for different companies, for celebrity weddings, album releases, also for David Guetta, but mainly Dutch artists. So that's mainly my background. I did a lot more, but I'm not going to exhaust you with all of that. This is just in short what I've been doing. Now I've been teaching here, and I teach in different subjects. I have experience in marketing. I teach in marketing. I have a lot of experience in film, so that's why I teach you guys film, especially production, script, directing, editing. I also run the social media here, so all of our social media channels of our studies is run by me, but through students. So the students are responsible for all of the content that we produce on our social media channels. I also do the guest lecture team, and this is most adorable for me, of course. I'm gonna put some shit on my lip. Just talk better that way. I have tea, hot tea. Tea is good for my throat. So, we're gonna talk about film. Yeah, I love film, adore film. Who likes to watch movies? Who likes it? Good. Who likes making movies? Who never have made a movie? Who wants to? Oh, good. Well, you're gonna do it. This module. Fantastic. So here you see all of these fantastic posters. Who recognizes some of these films? Yeah, spit it out.
Aliens.
Aliens, yeah.
Emily, Jaws, Shining,
Kill Bill.
Good.
Nemo.
Yeah.
Fight Club.
Fight Club, good.
The Shining.
Shining.
Jaws.
Requiem for a Dream.
Snatch.
With the eye in the middle, basically.
Number 6.
And for a dream. Snatch.
Incredibles.
Snatch, The Sixth Sense, next to it.
Boondocks.
Ben-Hur, who has seen Ben-Hur?
Yeah.
It's an oldie, very old. Quite fantastic. Fargo, who has seen Fargo? Not the series, but the movie. Do not watch the series. Back to the Future, love it, except for the third one. Second one is the best. Amelie,
Yeah.
Is that
We've
Groundhog
seen
Day?
Amelie? Good. If not, watch it.
Silence of the Lambs.
You will learn a great
Is that
deal out of
Groundhog
it.
Day?
Yeah.
This was a black swan.
Full Metal Jacket,
Oh yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
Who've watched it?
of course.
Only you.
I expected more.
Go and watch it. Shining, yeah, I said 3 times already. Leon is also nice. Not that known, but really good. Yeah.
Probably.
I see Black Swans, more modern.
The Godfather?
Godfather, yeah. Pulp Fiction is in there as well. Fight Club.
Yeah. Yeah, the light.
Silence of the Lambs as well.
Sorry?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
A
Yes,
Shark's
that.
Tale?
Good. If not,
Oh,
go
no,
and
Dory,
watch
sorry,
it. Silence of the
Dory.
Lambs. It's a cult classic, guys. Cult
Is that Finding
classic.
Nemo?
Yeah.
This one?
Indiana Jones. Train Spotting.
Ooh.
Who has seen Train Spotting? The first one.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. Also one I could recommend.
But the second one was very shitty.
Really nice. Okay, so this is nice, right? To just talk about movies. I can go on for ages about movies. I like basically every single part about making a movie, seeing a movie, watching it. You know, it's fantastic. It's just the narratives, the combination of the narrative, the script, the actors, the director. It's all, if a film is good, then all of these different elements, they fit. They're perfect. Everything fits. And for me, if a movie can catch me, can catch my my attention, then something's wrong, something's off. And it can be either the script, can be the actors, which I think, in my opinion, aren't casted in the right way, or the director didn't direct them in the right way. You know, so it can be all of these different elements separately that makes a movie not interesting for me. So it can be just a really small thing. So I love it when all of these different elements come together and they just fit. They fit perfectly. And then they grab me, they grab my attention. And then I can watch the movie over and over and over again, and I'm not getting bored at all. And it's just because all of these different elements, they just fit. They fit. And then if they fit, it's perfect and grab you, and you can watch it. You guys tend to watch, prefer series over films. So who prefers watching series over films? And why is that? Can you tell me why?
Yeah, for me, I think because there are more to watch, and if I watch on my own, I'd rather watch a series, and if I watch it with someone, I'd rather watch a movie.
Okay. So you think that watching a movie is more like a social thing?
Yeah,
so you can watch together.
Yeah, I'd rather watch movies. Yeah, I barely watch movies on my own.
Really?
Sometimes, yeah.
How come?
I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, I just watch the series. I don't know why.
Anybody else?
Quite the opposite, to be honest.
Yeah?
I prefer to just watch movies on my own, and series I can watch with other people because you can discuss and gauge to think about like the plot and what's going to happen.
Yeah, but you could do that with both of them, of course. You?
Yeah, I don't prefer series actually. I like a good movie anytime over a good series, but I like the fact that a series can go more in depth into a story, whereas a movie is limited by time sometimes.
Yeah. Good point.
I feel like sometimes if you watch a movie, it's just like approximately 2 hours of like really like stuff happening. And sometimes when you watch a series, you lose interest after a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the storyline isn't as good anymore, or what happens.
Yeah.
Really good point made there. Yeah. Anybody else? Who dares? What's your name? Iris. Iris made a really good point. I'm giving you an example of The Walking Dead, for instance. Who has seen The Walking Dead? It's great, isn't it?
Until season
until season
Four,
5.
4 or 5, something like that.
The day that the guy with the name calling, and he had this,
Oh yeah.
what's his name?
Night.
Mm,
Negan.
Negan.
Yeah.
Negan, and he has, what's his name of the...
Daisy or something.
Nancy or
Daisy.
whatever. The day that that guy got introduced in the series, I backed off.
Yeah.
I was
Is he still
done.
in there?
Really, I was. You know why?
He lost the show.
Because in the beginning, the series is about survival, the fucking zombies, right? Fucking zombies. Everybody loves zombies, right? If you like the guts and gore, if you like zombies, then you just adore zombies. Zombies are fantastic. I mean, they kill, they eat brains. It's just, so I love it, you know? I love everything about it. So when this series started, I got so excited. Fucking zombies, yeah, you know? And it was all, you know, when the guy woke up in the hospital and the entire world was apocalypse and, you know, it was all fucked up, and then there was zombies and they were all over the place. They had to run for the zombies because they were fast, you know? And they went to catch everybody. It was fantastic. I loved it. And the first couple of seasons, it was okay, you know. They were trying to search for sanctuary, you know. They looked each other up, you know. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. You can join us as well because we're all humans and we're gonna help each other because it's the humans against the zombies, right? That's how it started. Yeah, and it was fantastic. But then all of a sudden, it grew. Zombies, they gotten less important, and the story went more about the group of people, humans, that joined each other. So it was so strange because all of a sudden it changed into some kind of a soap.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't about it wasn't about the zombies versus the humans, but it was the humans versus humans. And they used the zombies as a tool to kill other humans. How in the world is that possible? I mean, you have this great story about apocalypse world, and you have the zombies versus humans, and then you got out of creativity, and then you just started writing a soap opera. It's insane, basically. So why is it still continuing? I don't know, but I lost interest. And with a movie is just a story from A to B, and then that's it. Okay, sometimes you have a crazy person that starts not at 1, but starts at 4. His name is George Lucas, and he makes Star Wars. But he's a genius, okay? He had it all in his mind. He had this planned, all of it. So, okay, exceptions are there to make, okay? But a film is just from A to B, and then that's it. Sometimes you get a prequel, sometimes you get a sequel. Okay, and sometimes you get on and on and on, like it's a series. But those people don't count. They just need to make series and not movies, okay? So that's why I adore films. And also you have exceptions and really good series. But they all end. They all end. If you have a good series, they stop after season 6. Who can name one?
I'm not sure how many seasons it was, but Mad Men was quite good.
Mad Men?
Yeah.
Yeah. Took too long.
Do you think so?
Well,
Yeah. But you had Lost.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Perfect example. I love
Love it.
Game of Thrones. I'm living it, I'm breathing it. I
The
love it.
Wire?
Sorry?
The Wire?
Yeah.
The Wire had more seasons actually.
The Wire?
Yeah.
I don't know The Wire.
How many had you Sopranos?
Recommend it.
Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
6 seasons. Dexter.
Could have it 4 seasons.
6 seasons.
Maybe.
So all of basically the good series stop after season 6. Look it up. Okay. We're gonna continue. It was just an introduction. It's gonna take ages. So film, yeah. Basically, we have 2 sorts of film. So we have fiction films and we have documentaries. Who knows the difference between those two? Very simple.
One is realistic and the other one is just fiction, like it's non-realistic, it's made up.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's already there for non-fiction, and we have fiction. It's very easy. And we're going to talk about fiction films. In fiction films, basically, you can do whatever. Can we leave phones in your pockets, please? For just
Writing this down.
okay, then it's good. If you use it for notes, then it's fine. But this will all be on Blackboard, okay? So you don't have to make photos. You don't have to type anything. It will all be on Blackboard, okay? So after an hour, you can dive into your phone again and just do whatever you want, okay? Just keep your attention here for a little bit. So here you see a curve, and that's the dramatic structure of basically any kind of story. And it's all the same. If you read a book, or if you watch a series, if you watch a movie, they all basically have the same curve. Why? Because some things needs to happen in a story. Because otherwise, it's boring, right? And if you want to make a story, you want people to watch it, right? If you want to make a movie, everybody wants people to either read it. If you're writing a book, if you just write a story, you want people to watch it, and then you need to have a climax, because otherwise nothing happens. So you need to have a story, you need to have a problem. The problem needs to be solved, and it needs to be difficult to solve that problem. Otherwise, it's boring. So to do that, you have different elements that's necessary. So that's the DNA of your story. So you have the story, the plot, and the structure. That's basically the DNA of your story. So the story is just the entire story of the film, and it's told chronologically. So it's from A to B. So you have a character, and it starts somewhere. It goes on a journey, adventure, or whatever. And then a problem gets there, and he's trying to solve it. It's going to be difficult, but in the end he will make it. And that's the end. Problem solved. Everybody's happy, right? So that's the film. And then you have the plot. You will also you see some Russian words, Pavla and Shusette. Those are terms you will also get more information about in a different module, content 1, I believe. My colleague Elger will tell you a little bit more about that. So you have the plot. And the plot, who knows what the plot is?
It's like the actual order of the things we see. Like the story is what we kind of make us in our mind together, and the plot is that what we actually see, like the happenings in the order.
Yeah, the plot is like is the adventure that the main character goes on, for example. So if something bad happens to that character, and he has to solve that problem, and he goes on an adventure to do so, and that's basically the plot. So it tells you the series of events that make up your story, including the order in which they occur and how they relate to each other. So that's very important of a plot. And then you have the structure. And the structure is the overall design of your story. So the structure tells if your story is told chronologically, or if you make use of flashbacks or flash forwards. So that's basically. And I told you already about flashbacks and flash forwards. Here you can see what they are about. So flashbacks is basically if you go back to when the main character, if you need to know something about the main character's past, then most of the time they use a flashback, so we can see, oh, this happened, and that's why he reacts like this. You know, it's all hints. So it's all for you to better understand the character. And you can use flash forwards if you want to show them what will happen if you do this or do that. You know, and you can use flash forwards, so it's a scene from the future. You can also play with the edit to make your movie more interesting to watch at. So here you have an example. Normally, if you tell a story, then you go from A to B. You start somewhere and you end somewhere, and you just follow the path the way it's supposed to be. You also have stories, movies, series that don't tell the story from A to B. So, and then it's more difficult to follow. So you have to have more attention for the story, basically. So who can name a film that has the story told from A to B or A to Z? Who can name an example?
Yeah. Apocalypto is one.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's not. I don't know if it's a known movie. Apocalypto. It goes straight from the beginning to the end without flashbacks or flash forwards.
Yeah. Very easy. Basically all of them. Nemo? Sure. Yeah. That's simple. It's that simple. Almost all of the stories are told from A to B. Or A to Z. But can you maybe name an example of a film that has messed up the chronological order of the story? Yeah.
Maybe also
Back to the Future, yes.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, my goodness. Oh, don't you love Groundhog Day? It's fantastic.
Donnie Darko.
Sorry?
Ooh.
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko, yep. Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, well, yeah. But
Memento is
Memento is
also-
such a
Yo,
great
that's a sick
movie.
movie,
It's so good.
Memento is fantastic.
Yeah.
Memento, if you haven't seen it and you want to be amazed
Yeah.
in how to tell a story, go and watch Memento. Really. And the guy who's... no, you're not Dutch. But for the people who are Dutch and know Carice van Houten, the guy who plays the main character in Memento is now the husband of Carice van Houten. They have a love child.
Or Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you understand it. So here are some elements of storytelling and choices that you can make, because you can make a lot of choices in how to tell a story, because you have so many different genres to choose of, and then it goes on and on. So you have a setting. Is the story taking place now at this moment, or is it taking place in the 80s, like Stranger Things, for example, or does it take place in the far future of where we live in now? That's like for Star Wars and Star Trek. It's all in the future. Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff like that, you know. That's not really in the future, right? It's a little bit. It's just fantasy. It's Marvel. I love it. So you have so many different things to make a decision of when you make a film or when you start writing a script. I will not dive into this that much because you can just study it for yourself on the slides, okay? I just wanted to show you this. So we're going to dive more into the script phase. Before you start a production, pre-production, I will show you the pre-production phases, because basically you have three main phases in how to make a film. So you have the pre-production, production itself, and the post-production. In pre-production, you will prepare everything before you can actually start shooting your film. And when you start shooting your film, that's when you enter the production phase. That's actually shooting. And if you wrapped it up, if you're done with the shooting phase, then you will start going into the post-production phase, where you start editing the film, and then just put the sound effects on it, and visual effects, and CGI, and whatever. But we are talking about the phase before pre-production, which is actually scripting phase. So you also have 4 stages in writing a script. So first you start with a premise, and we'll dive into these words. Then you have a synopsis, you have a treatment, which is a story outline, and then after that you have the actual script. So we're going to talk about the premise a little bit. We're going to do something about it as well. With it, sorry. What you going to do about it? Sorry. So you have a premise, which is also called a log line or a hook. And it is a summary of the story in one core sentence. One core sentence. If you have a script of how long does an average movie take? 2 hours. Before, in the past, it was an average of an hour and a half. It changed. It changed it to 2 hours. It grew. It's an hour and a half. It became too short to tell the entire story. Anyway, the premise, it contains 3 parts. So the first part refers to a character or a status quo situation. A status quo situation is like a main change in the situation of the character. So that's part of the plot. That's the problem that occurs. That makes us interested in the story, because otherwise you don't have a story. That's why should we follow a character that just go to school or goes to work and nothing happens? That's our life, right? You don't want to see that. We're living it. So the second part refers to a conflict. It always should have a conflict. And then you have the third part, and it shows the conclusion, because every problem needs a solution, and that's the conclusion. So, you have character, conflict, and conclusion. Oh, this is for the Dutchies. I'm not going to say anything about it. These are examples. So, oh, that's all Dutch. Oh, I forgot to, I need to change it. I forgot to. Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm going to translate it for you. So you have you can make up your premise on a static way or a dynamic way. And static is really short. So it's really short, doesn't make use of a lot of creativity. And if you do it dynamic, then you use a little bit more drama. And what do we all love when we make stories? Drama, right? Yeah. So, so if you have an example, if you want to do it static, then you can say, well, dreams are an illusion. Okay? But if you want to do it dynamic, then you can say, well, if you take dreams for reality, it brings you bad luck or something. Do you understand the difference of that? Do you feel the drama in the second one? Okay, we're gonna practice a little bit more. Because I have some examples of premises of some known movies, and you as a group, you can guess of which these premises are, of which movies. So this is the first one. Don't cheat.
Castaway.
Castaway, yeah, man.
Good. Perfect. Don't go too fast. Because the entire group needs to think about it. So Castaway, perfect. So we go back a little bit. Maybe not everybody could read the entire sentence.
I just saw FedEx and
That's done. Yeah, I made it maybe a little bit too easy because it's really difficult for me to know where you are, because some of you are highly experienced in watching films, and some of you aren't at all prefer to watch TV series. So a FedEx executive must transform himself physically and emotionally to survive the crash landing on a deserted island. So what's the first part? Let's go back.
character.
Damn!
Avatar.
So what's the first part?
Okay.
So first you have character, second conflict, and third conclusion. Remember that, okay? Character.
FedEx executive.
Yep. Conflict.
Crash landing. Oh yeah.
No, crash
Just
landing.
transform yourself physically and emotionally.
No, that's the conclusion.
Yeah. The crash landing. is
Because
the-
that's what he needs to do to survive. Because he has a crash landing on a deserted island. That's the conflict. And what do he need to do in order to survive that? And that is, he must transform himself physically and emotionally. So that's the conflict. Okay? Next one. Well, you don't need to guess because you already seen it. Avatar. So, what's the character part?
Paraplegic, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, paralytic marine. Yeah, so we know it's a guy, but he's paralytic, so he doesn't have feeling in his legs, right? So, what's the conflict?
The ethical one with the cultures of the two. Yes.
Following his orders and protecting
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
That's conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Capitalism versus nature.
Okay, what's the conclusion?
Maybe the conflict is following his orders, and the conclusion is protecting the world with this.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what he needs to do, he needs to go on a unique mission to the moon Pandora. Yeah, that's what he needs to do. Because he needs to protect the world he feels is his home. Yeah? Do you understand that? Up there. This one. Easy, right? Which film?
Star Wars.
Which one?
Episode
5.
5. 5 is the
Rogue, the new one.
Yes. Rogue One.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Damn!
That's basically the 5th one.
Yeah, that,
But it was because of the As soon as you see Death Star, you know, right? Easy. And then they all also have the Rebel Alliance. So, what's the character? I don't want to hear you, I want to hear somebody else, okay? Keep quiet, because you know.
The daughter.
Daughter, yeah? Daughter of an imperial scientist, yeah? So what's the conflict?
Stealing the Death Star once.
Yeah.
And to do that, she joins the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah. That's not the conflict. That's what she needs to do to make a solution for the conflict. So that's the conclusion. And we don't know the entire conclusion, but that's basically in this premise, it's what it is. So what do you need to do with the premise? You need to lure people in. This is a cool story. Okay, I have another one.
Oh, fuck.
Interstellar, right?
Good. Who says that?
Great
Good.
movie.
Interstellar, yeah. We've seen it? If not, do go and see it.
No one's seen it.
Not only for the story, but also for the visuals. Because the visuals are fantastic. Amazed in how it looks like. It's like if you're there, you know, especially if you watch it on a big screen. You're sucked in.
I don't really remember the full story, but I don't think I
Netflix is kind of hopeless for me. Because all the movies I watch aren't on Netflix.
This could also be the last one from the Cloverfield.
Ah,
What's it called? The Cloverfield Paradox?
oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah. It's basically the same premise.
But were they
Interesting.
But then they
wormhole in
accidentally...
space?
Yeah,
Because I just watched it.
but they accidentally go into the wormhole.
Ah,
instead of-
okay.
but they try to
right.
ensure humanity survival.
Ah.
But it's a good movie?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah?
Really cool, yeah. But yeah, you're correct. Interstellar. So what is the character? Team of explorers. Yes, yes. What's the conflict? And what's then the conclusion? Yeah, it's the other way around, right? So the conclusion is you have to ensure humanity survives.
Interesting.
Okay, so You have all been assigned to a fictional story, right? You all have gotten a script in groups, right? So I'm asking you guys to sit with your groups for 10 minutes and then make a premise of your own given script.
Alright.
You can do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? 10 minutes. Just go and find your group.
Maybe we can start with something like an English background. That's true, right? It's an English
One of the boys from here. Yeah. Just be like, we'll help you if you help us.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you
Alright. Like as you're walking.
Maybe I should make it more spelling with That's one language. But also, I want to use the most for
Das ist eigentlich vom Kollegen ganz ziemlich schwach. Das ist das zweite Mal, dass sie das gar nicht nachvollziehen kann, weil das wollen wir alles klar, was wir das erste
I need it in my life. That's So it's kind of when you show something. Here it's just the other way around. Like it's weird. Because he tries to show that it doesn't work and then it doesn't. Just miscommunication in the whole. Demonstration, like it's not the same. But I know what it is. I know what they mean. I think it's a connection, right?
mind
communicating. Then it's
if I
both
follow you for?
it's also a language barrier.
Is everybody there?
But it doesn't have to
How you
include
get
everything,
ready?
right? So every sentence that she says, it doesn't include every detail.
I'm just thinking about
Are you finished? Yes?
Great
Yes.
storyline.
We'll invite Molly.
Okay, you have it?
Definitely.
Who's secure enough to let us know what you have? First, tell us about you, okay? Yeah. You could have expected that. So, what's your script?
Well, our script
Guys,
is,
please keep it. Listen
The
to the
Battle.
others. It's
the story
interesting.
is called The Battle.
The battle, yeah.
Credits to Maurice Vaughn.
Yep.
It's about two teenage gangs who need to fight out a conflict for dominance over a turf, and they do so by playing a game of marbles in the parking lot.
And what's the premise?
So the premise is, wait, I have conflict. Well, the premise is two teenage gangs need to fight out a conflict to ensure dominance by playing a game of marbles. Yeah, that's already the premise. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's also the script, but then with
Yeah,
a little
everybody
shorter.
has a really short script,
Yeah.
so that's why it's really, basically really easy to make a premise, even though some of you have discussions on it. But the scripts are so short that it's really easy to make a premise. Yeah, really good. Is this a static or a dynamic premise?
It's aesthetic.
Static, yeah. Yeah, because you have it's really short, it's just what it is, so you have the character, you have the conflict, and then you have the conclusion. It's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
It's very static though.
Yeah, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be, it's just it's a learning curve. It doesn't matter. It's okay. You guys.
Ours is called Fishing, our script.
Fishing by unknown.
Oh, yeah, Fishing
By
by
unknown.
And our premise is two teenagers go catfishing online after they have a misunderstanding. Yeah.
Interesting. Is this static or dynamic?
Static.
It's also static. Yeah. Sorry. I can smell even something. Yeah. We have a refrigerator upstairs where our offices are on the 3rd floor, and the refrigerator is disgusting. It is filled with disgusting fungus, mold. Oh, it's gross. For the entire week, I couldn't smell a thing. Everybody was like, it stinks, it smells. I was like, meh. Tomorrow, this morning, I opened up the refrigerator. I was like, oh my goodness. I do now know a little bit what they're talking about because I could smell it. I'm so happy. Also, my cat this morning, my kids got picked up by their dad. And I have a cat. And he likes to, do a number 2 in the morning, like other humans do as well. But he's a cat. Okay, he's different. But it turns out that this morning he did a shitload of shit in his litter box. And, he smells, I didn't smell it at all. I got even close to the litter box just to have a hint of smell, No, did he really poo? Yeah. Can you smell it? Yeah. He said it was horrible. I was like, no, nothing. So I'm really happy, even if it stinks, that I can smell. Okay, where were we? Next group, you. Yeah.
We have an average, quite shy office employee strives for the manager position, and once he surprisingly gets the position, he has to deviate from his plans to blow up the building.
Ooh, that's a low one. So you're, I'm going to ask you to tell it again, because I don't think that everybody could have followed it. So your script is?
Manager.
Okay. And can you say it again?
Yeah.
A little bit slower.
Yeah. An average, quite shy office employee strives for the manager position, and once he surprisingly gets the position, he has to deviate from his plans to blow up the building.
Ooh, but that's the full conclusion. Oh, yeah. You gave a lot away. So is this static or dynamic?
So dynamic.
Still
Starting at a surprisingly moment, everything which comes after this comes after dynamic.
That's dynamic. Okay, you guys. Ready?
Our script is candy.
Candy, yeah.
3 guys want to make a deal with a candy company, but in order to do so, they have to kick out one person of the group.
Okay, interesting. Could all of you hear it? Yeah? Do you understand it? Yeah? Really good. And is that a static or a dynamic?
It's kind of.
Could you tell it again? Say-
3 guys want to make a deal with a candy company, but in order to do so, they have to kick out one person of the group.
Dynamic. Could be dynamic, but I would because they have to pick someone out and it's like drama who's going to be kicked out, but still it sounds static.
Dynamic. Haven't had you guys, right?
Our script is Shady Translation, and it's a young backpacker that struggles with communication, which leads to an awkward situation.
Interesting. Could everybody hear it? Yeah? It's a really good one. Is it static or dynamic? Could you read it out loud again?
A young backpacker struggles with communication, which leads to an awkward situation.
Static.
I think dynamic because it's drama, right?
It's dynamic.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we have drama in there, which is good. Yeah.
Oh.
Exaggerate. We love to exaggerate. All right. Did you think that was fun?
Yeah.
You understand it a little bit now, how it works?
Yes.
Premise? Which parts there are and how to use it. Because it's all for you to better understand your own story. Because you need to fully understand your script, your given script. You haven't wrote it yourself, so you need to really fully understand what is happening in your script in order to tell the story. And it's up to you to tell the story, because it's now written and now you have to visualize it. You have to make it into a product and how to tell the story to other people. If you guys would like to sit back in how we first started, because I have some other slides and videos. We will move on, because the premise is the first part of before you start writing a script. Because if you want to make a script, some people have that as a job, a full-time job. It is a full-time job, writing a script. Usually, that's easy, but it's not. It's also not easy to get paid for that kind of work. So what they do is they have these different stages of before you actually write a script that they try to sell at production companies in order to get that script written and then produced, of course, to make an actual movie. So if you have the premise, it's like, yeah, that's the beginning of your story. It's like the story, real short. Then you have the synopsis. The synopsis is what you basically see. If you go on IMDb and you want to read a little bit more about the story, and they have this short, a couple of sentences, and then it's just a story in short, basically. That's the synopsis. So it's a written summary of the story. And well, if you have like a movie that's really long, they also have a longer synopsis. So for you, it's not necessary to have a synopsis of your script because it's really short. Premise is basically all there is what you can make on this script that's short. But a synopsis, it contains certain parts. So it contains the outline of the key events that's happening in your story. So it also has the characters and plot points. So that's all part of the synopsis. So you can see a little bit that it has similarities to the premise. Do you see that? But then it's just a little bit bigger. Not that difficult. Not gonna do that much about it. Then you have the treatment, which is a more detailed summary of your story. So you have the premise, which is really short. In Dutch, who's Dutch? Here. So, have you heard of mond? Mondje? Mond?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. That's basically this. So, this is mondje uit Makkum. Ja. Ja, you have the mooie porseleinen mand uit Makkum, blah blah blah, that's the script. They have mandje uit Makkum, that's treatment. Then you have mandje, the synopsis, and then you have mand, is the premise. For the Dutchies, okay. So you have the treatment, which is even more detailed than the synopsis. But it still doesn't contain the dialogue. Dialogue only starts in your script, in your actual script. But the treatment already has directional notes and key phrases in how to how your film will turn out to. Because if you write your treatment, you already have the visuals in your head. You already have the movie in your mind, so you can say a little bit more about how it's going to turn out. So a treatment is commonly used for selling your story. So every story that has been made needs to be pitched to production companies, because the production companies have the money. They have the money to pay you to write that script. And you have different orders in how they do that. But it starts with a treatment, and every treatment starts with a premise, and and grows into a synopsis, and then goes into treatment.
One question: is there some way how you can protect your treatment, like your ideas, so that the companies don't turn you down and pay someone else?
You can copyright everything.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they do. Yeah, especially if you start pitching it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very easy. Oh yeah, pitch another idea. This is now mine. Thank you very much. Yes, so it's very important. It's a very difficult industry to be in. Yeah, that's why it's so difficult. And then you have the script. And the script, all. You have given a script. And the script is a full script. So you have the dialogue in it. You have already edit cues in it, so and of course directional notes. So you have a full script. We're going to talk about that script, because in that script they have a certain terminology that they use, and for some of you maybe abacadabra. So I'm going to clear it up a little bit for you. Some of you know it already, what it means. So this is the, which script is this? Manager. Yes, correct. So this is the start of the script of the manager. And it's very interesting, because as you see, what does it say on the top? It's fade in, and then it goes int office afternoon. What does that say?
Interior?
So you have a fade in, and the fade in is an edit cue. It says that we start from black, and it fades into the first shot that we see of the film. So it's for everybody to know that we start with a fade in, very easy. So, and it can be anything, it can be any kind of transition. However, the script writer wanted to start, he just puts it in. But then it's also up to the director and up to the editor if they actually want to do it this way. It's all about communication. And then you have int office afternoon. So int is actually for interior, and it says basically that whatever happens in the scene, it happens inside the building. And if it says ext, it stands for exterior, and it actually says that whatever's going to happen in the scene, it's going to happen outside a building. So you know, we have to go outside with the entire crew. Production. Yeah, so it means something. It doesn't only mean that that the story takes place outside of a building, but it has a lot of meaning production-wise, because you need to know where is it cold, is it night, you know it's afternoon. It says it's afternoon, so it's during the day, so that's good to know, so you don't have to go out at night. So it's all logistics. If you think in a production way and you see this, then you already think, interior, that's a little bit more controllable. Because if you go outside, you have the weather that's uncontrollable. But people who make movies hate uncontrollable situations. They want to control everything, because then they are sure of what they are going to make, that it's going to look like what they want. It's going to take the hours that they need. Because if you have the weather and all of a sudden it rains and you need sunshine and you're outside, what can you do? It's difficult because you can't control weather. The only thing you can control is making snow and making rain. Because they have machines for it. Yeah. That's why everybody loves to shoot in a studio, because that's controllable. And that's why everybody loves nowadays making use of CGI. Who knows what CGI is? Yeah, can you tell the others? Shall I tell it? It's computer generated, I'm not sure what the last one.
Images, I think.
Sorry?
Images.
Images. That's
Right.
it. So it's basically what you see behind you. You have the green screen. They use green screen, blue screen, lots of different color screen, because those colors tend to blend with backgrounds, so you only see the person who's in front. So they use that a lot, because nowadays they have the techniques to do that, to make a movie like they want to. For instance, for Avatar, you know, basically everything was CGI. Even now, Game of Thrones, a lot of stuff is CGI. Yeah, so that's what they use. So it's all, and that's controllable, you know, because you make the world on a computer. You just need a couple of basic things in a studio. Then you can make whatever. If you really go on location, then you don't have the control of that outside world. Because everything can happen. Plane can, if you have ever seen in the Game of Thrones, you didn't have airplanes, but in one or two scenes you can see an airplane crossing over, stuff like that. That's difficult, but that's uncontrollable. So production people don't like that. They love to control stuff. Okay, then you have the second sentence. So you have all this information, and then you have another one. Int manager's office afternoon. Yeah, you have to go. Look up the slides and talk to your group team members, okay?
Thank you
For the extra information. So And then manager's office. So that's also a location. So we know that it's interior, it's in an office, but then you have the manager's office, so you know that the manager's office is an actual space in another space. So that's what it tells you. So you have to be really that blunt to analyze your script. It's not just a story, but you need to put everything in order. You need to know what it is all about. So it gives you all of these clues. And then you need to figure out how can we use that for a location, how can we use that for a story. Because it says also, Aaron North is the character, right? He's 32, that's what they say. So you know at what type you need to make. I mean, if they say he's 32, you cannot cast someone who's 18, because it shows, right? It has a different, it shows something different, it tells something different. Because if you are a manager, then you want to come across as someone who can be a manager. So this is not a manager. He's average height, black eyes, neatly dressed, sitting in his office, working. So, what's he doing? What do you see if you read that sentence?
Character description.
Yeah. Character's just sitting behind a desk. Sitting, yeah, he's sitting in his office, so he's sitting, probably working behind a desk. So you can fill it in. What do we need then? That's just one sentence.
Specific wardrobe, because it says like neatly dressed and stuff, so we have to also decide, I don't know how to say, wardrobe.
You need to have the right attire to sit in an office. So what do you usually wear when you sit in an office?
Tie.
Tie, or you say it, a jacket and stuff like that. Yeah, so you need to think in that way. What do we need? Write it down. We're going to get to that, how to write that down. His dressing attire reflects his character as a shy and obedient employee. So the way he dresses already should look like he is a little bit shy and obedient. How do you do that? How do you let somebody have clothes and wear them as if he is obedient? How do you do that? So you have to think of a way to do that, you know? So you have to really think of, how does someone come across as obedient and shy altogether in a working environment? So you really have to think about that. And this is just how many sentences? 2. So we get so much information out of just 2 sentences. You understand that? And then we continue. Then we have William. Yes, underneath his desk he keeps his briefcase and a lunchbox. Well, that's a lot of information as well. We now know that he needs a briefcase and a lunchbox. Everybody should immediately know that that's a lunchbox and a briefcase. There should be no discussion possible about this. And he has that underneath his desk. Well, that's not that important. William, 52. He's the manager of the trustee bank. We now know that the office is a... What's the office? It's a bank. Yeah, exactly. That's simple. And he's having a conversation with one of the employees, John, and John is 27. And then all of the dialogues are the same. All of the scripts are the same. So all of the dialogues start with a name, so it's really clear that it's about that this person is speaking. And that needs to be very clear. All of these scripts look like this. All of them. All have the same. And there's a reason. First is this. This is also an explanation about a script. So again, you have the scene heading, you have the action we just talked about. You have the character name. Oh, and here it says VO, V point, O point. Who knows what that is? Do you see that after Rufus?
Voiceover?
Behind Rufus?
Is that voiceover?
Voiceover, exactly, yeah. So that's also a clue. clue. So you hear the text, but you don't see him. So that's a voiceover. No, then you have dialogue. Transition, again, fade out. You see? This is going to be for you to study again on Blackboard. Well, I said it a little bit about the production workflow. This is only pre-production. After this, the shooting starts. The actual production. And before this, you're just working on the script. So this is all pre-production. Not going to dive into it that much. But this is in short what you're going to do after my lecture. This is in short. Well, you're going to do it in short. This is extended. Because you're not going to do this all of it. Because you have just a small, you have no budget. You're not going to hire anybody. But you are going to ask, and you're going to search for actors. You're going to ask if they want to play in your film. So you have to do this in small. You don't have to set up a company. But you do have to make a budget for your film. So you do have to do that. So you do have to think, what should this cost in reality if we're going to make this film? A rehearse. Always rehearse. Don't forget that. Even if you don't have a budget, rehearse. Rehearse makes people more secure in what they do. Everybody, also you. Rehearse in how the camera works, rehearse in how sound works, rehearse in how the actor has to move, you know. Think of how does the actor have to walk, does the actor have to walk backwards, does the actor have to stand on his head, you know. Those are all clues that the director can think of. Not really practical, but, you know. If it's in the script, then do it, you know. Let them rehearse, let them feel themselves comfortable in the role that they have to play. Let them take their time for it. Then we're going to go to the shooting script. And the shooting script is an exact planning of all of the recording days. Well, you are probably going to record everything in just one day. But still, if you have a bigger script, then you cannot just simply plan everything in one day. So you need more days. So, if you, yeah?
Is this what's called a draaiboek in Dutch?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So, if you are making a film, almost none of the films are being filmed like they are being written in a script. So what they do is they pick out, oh, this is on this location, this is on this location. They put everything, this is this location. And this is on another location, and they put everything that's going to happen in the script on that location. And that's how they plan how they have to shoot their script. It's on location. So sometimes you only have the opening scene and the end scene on that specific location. Then yes, you will shoot the opening and the end on one day, if possible. It's weird, huh? But it's how it happens. It's logical, it's practical. Because if you have to book that exact location twice, it costs you more money. If you can do it all in one day, yeah, that's always better because it saves you money. So it's all about money. The first rule is very important, and it makes a lot clear. Because every page on a script stands for 1 minute of film. That is why every script looks the same. Every script has the same, uses the same font, uses the same size of font. Every script has the same way they put in dialogue. Are you still with me? Yeah? Okay, cool. So, shooting script is a visual strategy for each scene. Decide what the tempo or rhythm of the film should be. So those are all things you need to think about before you start shooting, before you can even start shooting. Because you need to think of how can I make it visual? So you need to think of all of these things. So it contains how different shots are connected. Sometimes it contains transitions, and transitions are these fade-ins, fade-outs, cross-fade-ins, stuff like that, you know? Those are transitions, all for editing. And it also contains camera positions, camera movements, dialogue, sound effects. Contains the order in which to film the scenes. It's a creative and technical blueprint for the entire filming process. Is that clear? Yes or no? Questions? No? Okay. So and then you gotta make the storyboard. The storyboard is a graphic overview of how your movie is going to look like. This is actually the first transition you are going to make from just simple text into a graphic design. So this is the first time you're going to do that. So technical decoupage, I'm not going to tire you and tell you what the decoupage, who knows what decoupage is? It's actually cutting up your scene. It's a literally translation, cut up your scene. So you divide the scenes of the narrative script in pieces or shots. That's what you do with a storyboard. It is made up of a series of thumbnail images that convey what happens in your film from beginning to end. So it's actually a film already, visualized. So I'm asking you guys to also make a storyboard out of your, and then you say, what storyboard? I need to draw. You don't need to really draw. You can also use stick figures. That's okay. It's about that you understand what kind of shots, framing, how is it going to look like, how is my character coming in frame. You know, it's to help you out in visualizing your film, to transition your written text, your script, to a visualization. We basically did it for the first time in the first module, creative business. You had the assignment to visualize the media landscape. That was also kind of a way of visualizing. This is different. This is way more fun. So this is how a storyboard usually looks like.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this for yourself, or do you hand it in?
Yeah, you're handing it in with me.
Okay.
We're going to discuss everything that I'm telling you now. I'm going to give you some assignments, and then you're going to make all of these things. So we're going to discuss it next week during the on Tuesday during the light workshop. I'm going to be sitting upstairs, and every group can come to me, and then we can just talk about what you've made and how far you are, and I can help you and give you tips. So it's not about good or wrong. Am I doing it good? Am I doing it wrong? It's just about me helping you guys out in how to actually produce, because this is going really fast. You need to do this really quickly. So it can feel like a bit overwhelming. So I'm just here to help you guys out, okay? Make use of my help. That's all I'm saying. So the first one, everybody knows what story that is. Lion King, yes. And that's just how it looks like. They started like that. And this is a more simple way. Yeah, you can also use stick figures. It's not about how good you can actually draw. You also have nowadays application that can help you out. You just put stuff in. But they help you. You can use that as well. And they have also sometimes dialogue in it, voiceovers, directional notes on storyboards. Also these arrows, they say that the first white arrow of the guy is telling the movement of the guy. And then you have the second arrow that goes to the second picture, and it says something about the movement of the camera. So you have these different ways of telling what happens. So sometimes something happens with the character, he walks from one point to another, or you have the camera movement. So you can put that all in your storyboard. It will help you all. Oh. No, this one is not always chewy. And we all love chewy. Yeah, kind of.
You need to slide it to the right, I think, outside of the screen.
They're not seeing this. Does anybody know?
I think you have to slide the browser off the screen to the right, so it appears into the next screen on the thingy.
Yeah.
The thingy.
The thingy.
Yeah. How do I get back?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Is that clear? Yeah, right? Hi. It's okay. Then we have the breakdown. Are you still with me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Still enjoying it? Okay, good. If not, just say so, okay? Then I'm taking so long. Breakdown. We're almost there, okay? Just we're just gonna watch a couple of videos, okay? Just to make some stuff clear. Then we have the breakdown, and the breakdown is very important because actually a breakdown is actually literally what it is. It breaks down your script. So you have a script. We already did it a little bit while I explained the script. So a script breakdown is basically a practical analysis of your script. So what is happening? So you're going to divide everything. So who are the characters? Put the characters with each other. Put the locations with each other. All the props, special makeup, stuff like that. You see, you divide different elements in a scene to better understand its shooting requirements. So you will do that per scene. Every scene needs to have its own breakdown sheet. It looks like this. This will be on Blackboard. You can use this, okay? I also have a template sheet for a storyboard as well. Will be all on Blackboard for you. So if you have scene 1, write down scene 1. Who of the characters are needed in this scene? Are there stunts? No, no. What kind of props do we need? What kind of wardrobe? What are they wearing? What do we need? This will help you arrange all of these things you need to arrange. Because you need to arrange the wardrobe, you need to arrange the makeup, you need to arrange if it's in an office, you need to arrange an office, you need to arrange chairs, you need to arrange desks. So that is why you need to categorize all of these things. It will help you produce your film in a better way. It will just help you. These are all tools. Oh, damn. Yeah. Jammer. How do I get over here? Right? No. Yes. How do I get there then? Kun je nou hoe ik hem weer terugkrijg? Ik zie hem hier niet.
Check it out.
Check it out. Ik wil ook die window voor hieruit komen. Oh, dat kan ook, ja. Als je nu... Nee, als je nu gewoon in die bal gaat staan. Ja, schrik je zo. Oh ja. Toch? Nee, dat is jammer. Nee, ik moet terug. Ja, lukt het. Waarom is dit nou zo irritant?
We're not allowed to play our song.
Nope.
Oh, we're not. Oh my. Then we need songs. Then we need actors. This will be the hardest part, getting actors.
Have you seen this man? Kinda loud from back here. Does the idea of watching two people having a conversation sound exciting? Probably not. You probably wouldn't pay money to see that. And yet you do. All the time. Because ultimately, that's what every movie...
Okay. Yeah. So, we're gonna make a production plan. Because there you have broken down your script, so you know which elements go where and what you need per scene. And then from there you know what you need to do, and then you can make an actual production plan. And that is a step-by-step checklist of what you need to do when you get to the location of the film shoot. Does that make sense? It basically contains a shooting schedule and a shot list. You guys will make a production plan as well, including a shot list. And it all is connected with each other. So if you will make a breakdown, it will help you in making a production plan. If you will make a storyboard, it will help you making a shot list, stuff like that. It will all help you. Makes it easier. You may think, well, that's a lot that we need to do, but it makes you understand your script. It makes you understand why you need to do some certain things. That's what it does. So you have to think of, in what order will you film your scenes? What will you shoot first? What will you shoot second? What will you shoot last? Stuff like that. Which scenes will be shot indoors? So you need to, everything that you made out of your breakdown per scene, you need to group it. What goes where? What are all the interior shots? What are all the exterior shots? Then we're going to group that. Which actors do we need? What kind of wardrobe do we need? So you're going to group everything basically, and it will help you put it all in your production plan. So which props do you need? Costumes, special makeups, everything you can put in. Also, in your production plan, you need to think of dividing the tasks. Who does what? You need to do that in advance, because that way, that person can be responsible for their own task. If you're the director, you need to think of, how do I direct the actors? How am I going to do that? If you do the production, then you need to think of ways of, how do I do that? How do I arrange that? How do I start making calls to final locations, stuff like that. If you are doing the sound, you need to think of, are we shooting outside, inside? Do I need a dead cat for my microphone? Which microphone do I need? Always use a Hengel. Never reverb microphone, because we're not interviewing people, we're making a film. And if you see, whenever you see a microphone in a film, it's like, hello set. You're out of the story, out of the narrative. So make sure you think of all of these small and little things, because it will all help you in making this film believable. And that's what you want, right? You want people to believe that the story you tell is true, right? Believable. That's what you want. Also the editor. And the editor, you think of, well, the editor is going to edit post-production, so he doesn't need to do anything on a shooting day. Well, that's not true. If you are a good editor, you already want to know which shots, which takes of each shot are the right ones to use. Because you need to do stuff over. You need to do takes. That's why they always have the board, clapperboard. So you need to know. So if I can give you a tip, then use the editor on your set as the one that think of, is this still, is the continuity, is that right? So he checks out, well, right there you had a cigarette that was halfway lit, and now you have a cigarette that's full. That's not continuity. If you have coffee or how do you call it? A bottle like this. At first it was half full, and then all of a sudden it's entirely full. you need to check that. So if I were you, just use the editor for that. And also, if you have 3 takes and the second one is the best one, write it down. If you have covered this shot, let the editor make a note of that. Taken, done, finished, you know. This is what we still have to do, and we have 3 hours left. Ooh, maybe we have to delete some of these shots. Question?
Well, I was wondering, sometimes in movies you can still see like kind of big mistakes in continuity, or you can see, for example, a microphone or something. How does it come that, I mean, they must watch the movie like a trillion times before releasing it, but why do they not notice that?
They notice. They know.
So it's money.
It's money. Yeah. Because time is money. Sometimes you don't have that big of a window to take that shot. Sometimes you don't have money left anymore to extend your shootings. Sometimes this is the best take. It's better than all of the others because so much other things went wrong in all of the other takes. So this is the only take that we can have, that we can get, even though we see a boom in frame. Yeah. Sometimes that's just the choice that they have to make. Yeah. It's compromising. Yeah, even though the big blockbusters, they have the same, yeah. I think it's interesting to see, you have all these Game of Thrones things, especially when you have these, how do you call it, when the time is set in Middle Age, you know, just like Game of Thrones. Yeah, you don't have a car or a plane. But yeah, if you film outside, I mean, there are so many planes in the sky. I mean, it's almost inevitable that you see at a certain point a plane. Yeah, sometimes they don't have the money to, you know, scratch that out. Yeah, they don't have to. They don't have it. Okay, next part, shot list. A shot list is a full log of all of the shots you want to include in your film. Maps out exactly what will occur in that particular shot of the film. A checklist with details that give you your film a sense of direction and efficiency. So a shot list is really important because a shot list is just a list of all of the shots that you have to take for your entire film. Well, for you, in your case, your entire day. So sometimes it can be 30 shots, so you have to change camera settings, you have to change everything, change location maybe. So you have to change a lot, and you have to all think of that. You have to think all beforehand, what do we need to shoot in order to get this film fully represented. So you need to think of that. So a shot list typically consists of a scene number, shot number, location, shot description. Number all of your shots, number your scenes, because it will help you in the logistics. Because if you don't number your scene or your shot, then this is a medium shot of what, you know? This is shot number 3. Shot number 3 is a medium shot of this actor. What will happen in the shot? This will happen in the shot. This is the action. This is the dialogue. Put it all in. It will help you. Let the editor on set, let him take notes of that. Yes, yes. Here's the step-by-step plan. Oh, jeez. I'm using all of my time. I didn't thought to do something, but I do. This is a step-by-step plan on how to help you with a shot list. So organize the shots per location, per day or night of the shoot. So you have the camera set up. So think about how your camera, where do I start? So start with the huge shots, start with establishing shots, and then go closer. Then go medium, close, too close. Never start with close and then go big. Go big and then go closer. That's the right order to start shooting. Framing, that's the same. Think about on-set logistics. When will the shooting location be available? when are each of the actors available, and when are certain props available or ready to use. You all need to think of these small things, and it's a lot. And then you have the pickup shots. In pickup shots, you don't need to have actors. You don't need to have the props or anything. Establishing shots are shots you can do just with a small crew. You don't need extras for that. So think of that as well. Are you going to do that in the morning, or right in the afternoon, or when the actors can go home? Are you going to do then the establishing shots? It all depends on time. Especially now if you're going to go outside to shoot. It's very dark outside and it gets dark really early because it's winter. I mean, if it's summer, you have until 10 o'clock at night and you still have the daylight shooting. But now you have such a small window, so you have to take that all in your mind. You have to take it all in your plan. You have to think about those kind of little things. And then at last, you have a call sheet. If you have done all of that and you have your location, you have your actors, and you know when you want to shoot your film, you're going to make a call sheet. And the call sheet is a planning for just the day of shooting. So, it contains all of the contacts, who is doing what, who is present, who's the director, who's the production, everything's in there. Put phone numbers in it, so that everybody knows this is the phone number to call. Put your location in it. This is the location, this is the address of the location, this is the person who we have contact with, so that everybody of your crew knows that. If there's anything that's happening during the day, you can call the location. I can call the location if I want to come by. You know, I can call you because you have your phone number in it. So that people know then who to contact. It's also for your actors, you know, who can I contact if I have a question or if I can't make it or if I'm ill, stuff like that. So this is what it contains. You have to read it again, because this is the example, so you have to read it at home. Looks very complicated. I have templates for you to fill in, so you don't have to actually make one of your own.
Is it on blackboard?
It's going to be on blackboard, yeah.
Yes.
So, call sheets is all about logistics, production. At what time do we start? At what time is everybody expected on location? How do people get on that location? How do you do that? How do the actors come there? Do they go themselves, or are you going to pick them up? All of these things you have to think of. How is the wardrobe getting to the location? How is the makeup going to the location? How is all the camera equipment going to the location? You all need to think of all of these different things. And it all needs to be in the call sheet. Also, if you're going to shoot outside, weather is very important. So you always put in the weather report as accurate as possible. So you cannot put it in from yesterday or the day before yesterday, because that's not just accurate. And of course, you're going to put in what exactly are we going to shoot today. All the shots. Which actor is necessary for each shot, for which shot. Everything needs to be in there. I have some videos. Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Alex from Studio Binder again, and this time we'll be talking in a general sense about the anatomy of a call sheet. What should be on it, what it actually does, why you need one. Every single call sheet needs to have, obviously, number one, the name of the production. It's got to have the name of the production, it's got to have the date, of the shoot, and then it needs to have what day of the shoot you're on. Also on the top of the call sheet is going to be the major contact info, like who's the director, who's the producer, who's the UPM, the production coordinator, the assistant directors. All of that will be on the top part of the call sheet, so that if you do have a question and you do need to talk to somebody, this is who you should be calling. Somewhere up there is going to be the weather. You're going to have, sunrise, sunset, the temperature, whether or not it's supposed to rain. If there's notes about parking, there's usually a place where you can have that in there. Like, okay, location's here, but you actually have to park over there. Next to that, there's usually a section that says location. This will tell you where you're going. It will be the address of the location. If there's more than one location, they'll be numbered. It'll say location 1, location 2, location 3. They'll all have their own little address. And then there's an area that gets used for a lot of various things. It can either be for special props that need to happen, if you're doing a stunt or an effect, or there's just general notes for the production as a whole, like there are going to be places you shoot in where smoking is absolutely not allowed. You need to know things like it's a closed set. Nobody can just wander in and visit or drop off your keys, any of that stuff. If it's a closed set, that means it's a closed set. You also need to make that kind of stuff very prominent. The next biggest chunk that you're going to get is going to be what you're actually doing for the day. Whether it's a commercial or a feature or whatever, there's going to be a little breakdown. It's going to tell you a description of the scene, if it's a day or a night shot, how long it is in the page count, which gives you a good guess of how long it's going to take to film it, and who's actually in it. Which talent are in it, do you need special props or whatever. All that will be contained in this one little strip of a description. And you'll have a whole bunch of those just stacked up, and then at the bottom of that, we add up the pages so you know the total page count for the day. There's also going to be, based on the production, if you're doing multiple meals or meals at different locations, all that information gets contained on there. It'll tell you what time meal is going to be, because meal is 6 hours from general crew call, always. After we do all the scene breakdown, there will be a little section for the talent that's coming in for the day. They all have their own individual numbers usually, and then they'll have their real name and their character name, and then it will say what time they're supposed to come to set, and if they have any specific notes, like go to location 1, go to location 2, that'll all be in their little section. Below them, there's usually one for background talent, if you have any. They get their own little specific area for that. Also on the top of your call sheet, and it should be very obvious, and this is something that always has to be there.
Ever since they could fit cameras on wheels, filmmakers have been moving them around in every basic edit you can do is the cut, which is simply going from one shot to another, changing perspective, advancing the story. Now I'm going to be showing you a series of examples that help illustrate the types of cuts that I'm about to mention. A lot of these cuts are so common and feel so natural that you don't even think about it. Well, what the f*** happened there? Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to make your cuts a little less jarring, let's begin with a technique that's used all the time, cutting on action. Now all this means is cutting from one shot to another while the subject is still in motion. It doesn't always have to be on a punch or a kick. It could be something as simple as a character turning or throwing something, or a character going through a door, or another door, or another door. Then there's the cutaway, which I can best describe as cutting to an insert shot of something, and then back. The insert could exist in the same space as the characters.
You want the moon?
Like this.
Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea.
Or you can use a cutaway to get inside the head of a character.
Last night I was...
Cross-cutting. This is when the editor intercuts back and forth between locations. For example, most phone conversations are usually cross-cut, and when used effectively, cross-cutting can certainly amp up the tension and suspense of a sequence. This technique is also used to show what's going on inside the character's head.
Don't move. I don't want you to cut your own throat.
Jump cuts are when the editor cuts between the same shot, and they are often used to deliberately show the passing of time. And that looks like this. So you can naturally find these in montages. Here's a few examples.
Let go of me! Don't!
Jump cuts are also used to add a level of urgency to the scene. And there's a lot of jump cuts in baseball. Now let's move on to the match cut. Match cuts look like this.
Come on, guys, let's get to work. Yeah!
Match cuts are often incorrectly referred to as jump cuts. However, there is a difference. A match cut cuts from one shot to a similar shot by either matching the action or the composition. Match cuts are mainly used as scene transitions because you're often jumping from one place to another, which is most likely why there's confusion on the matter. Match cuts don't always have to be visual either. There's also verbal match cuts, like this.
That looks just like an enormous wham. Pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Willie. Yeah. What's that? Well, it looks like a giant... Johnson. Yes, sir.
Now let's move on to transitions, starting off with fade in, fade out. We've seen this 1,000 times, and it's just dissolving either to or from black. Pretty self-explanatory. Now a dissolve is when you blend one shot into another, and that could look something like this. These are commonly used in montages as well, and also can represent a passing of time. Now, you could easily dissolve between the same shot, and it looks something like this.
Okay, I don't have time anymore. We don't have time anymore, it's already... Okay. So, the last slides, teamwork. You need to read this for yourself, okay, on the blackboard. It is just about teamwork, you know. Communicate with each other is very important. Know what your plans are. Know what you want to do with this shot. Know what you need to do. Know where everything goes, you know. Communicate about it. Make it teamwork. The length of the films, keep it between 1 and 4 minutes. So keep on the rule, you know, 1 page is 1 minute. If you have a script that only exists of 1 page or 1.5, you know, you may extend it to 2.5 minutes, okay? But don't extend it too much, because then you will lose all of the essence of your film, okay? So keep that in mind. Here are the assignments. So I want you guys to make a breakdown of the script. I've explained it to you, so I think you can do a good job. You can also watch back the videos of these slides, you know, to remember. You get templates for a breakdown, so it won't be that hard. Next, make a production plan, divide tasks, put that in the plan as well. Whether you're going to shoot what, in what order. Then also put in the production plan, a shot list, and a storyboard. Put it in. It will help you design your film. It will help you out. So the deadline is next week, Tuesday. On Tuesday you have the workshop light, and then I'm going to be here. I'm going to sit upstairs, and every group can come by and talk about your plans. I will help you. If you have your shot list ready, we can go through it. I can help you with that, you know. Also the practical side of how to actually